Hi, everyone. I'm Rick Barron, your host, and welcome to my podcast, That's Life, I Swear. Shortly after former President Donald Trump wrapped up his CNN town hall, it didn't take long for President Biden when he tweeted out a message saying, "It's simple, folks. Do you want 4 more years of that?" Let's jump into this. To those Republican candidates who have thrown their hat into the ring, what you saw in New Hampshire on the evening of May 10th for 70 minutes is what to expect on the campaign trail and debates. During the town hall, Trump used his platform to recite his past and current list of gripes, such as false statements about his accuser, E. Jean Carroll, that convinced a jury to hold him liable for defamation as well as sexual abuse, throwing out insults like Crazy Nancy, also known as Nancy Pelosi, his ongoing insistence that the 2020 election was rigged. Yes, an oldie but goodie. And his subtle intention to pardon some of the January 6th insurrectionists should he return to the White House. I gotta say, he used the same gimmicks, ranting and blabbering, shooting out incomplete sentences, and using his typical accordion hand gestures. When answering some of the questions from the audience, if one can call it that, his responses were broken and fragmented. One question he didn't even come close to answering. As Trump delivered his talk, dumb as it was, I couldn't help but see a clown with a drink in one hand and a microphone in the other, and watching a cheap comedian inside the bar lounge. The thought that we're still talking about this guy and that he's getting another shot at running for the presidency is something I can't see but a nightmare. And by the way, don't think that Donald doesn't have a chance to win the election. Poll numbers reflect he has a viable shot at winning. Now, why does this matter? CNN wanted to stage a simple town hall meeting, but soon found itself at the center of a political and media controversy after Trump steamrolled moderator Caitlin Collins' efforts to fact-check a series of false statements he had made in front of a crowd that was vocally supportive of the Republican. Nevertheless, she held her own with Trump, asking tough, fair, and revealing questions. Caitlin deflected a Trump insult when he referred to her as a nasty person. Oh, he can be so mean and tough, can he? What was so disturbing was that there was an ugliness in the audience that was heavily Republican, by the way. As Trump read off his flashcards demeaning E. Jean Carroll after a jury held him liable for defamation and sexual abuse, the guy got applause from the crowd. What I found very sad is when Trump referred to Carroll as a whack job. Only the men in the audience applauded, while the women did not, and sat very stoic. Why? You know, people who support Trump, warts and all, like Trump, because he leverages that raw, emotional, and ugly itch in part of the American populace, who say, and I quote, "I like Trump because he says what we're thinking," unquote. Brother, if that's the case, then those are some very ugly thoughts. Now, back to the town hall. As Trump was spilling his guts out, I have to imagine his lawyers must have been pounding their heads on the table saying, "Shut up, shut up, shut up." CNN won big ratings for its controversial town hall with Trump, and perhaps that was the ultimate goal. Just a year into his tenure, CNN's new CEO, Chris Licht, is pushing hard to polish the brand and enlarge its audience base. I mean, cable news is a very competitive business that lives and dies on big personalities and exclusive access. In March, the network was down 61% in prime time ratings, drawing an average of just 473,000 viewers, compared with MSNBC's 1.14 million and 2.9 million for Fox. Now, Chris is guiding CNN with a merger of its former parent company, Warner Brothers, with Discovery, where the chief executive, David Zaslav, is now the CEO of Warner Brothers and Discovery. Zaslav and Licht are brainstorming new ideas to mold CNN as a nonpartisan network. "We have a divided government, and we need to hear from both sides," they said. Republicans are on the air on CNN, and Democrats are on the air on CNN. All voices should be heard on CNN. In a memo accompanying a very brutal round of layoffs in December, Licht articulated his intention to expand and diversify the viewpoints we bring our audience. Okay, all good intentions, but looking the other way on a decision to host a liar on a national stage in an unpredictable live setting is not a win-win for bipartisanship. All we saw was a moron who filled the air for 70 minutes with childlike verbal nonsense. The day after the town hall, Anderson Cooper defended his network's decision to host the event with Trump during an opening monologue in his primetime show. He did convey he understood the anger being directed at CNN. But he went on to say, and I quote, "You have every right to be outraged and angry and never watch this network again." Cooper went on to say, "But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people who you agree with is going to make that person go away?" Perhaps he has a point. On the flip side of that coin, however, is that the American people, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, even Trump's base, want the focal point to be on issues facing this country. Issues such as the ongoing Ukraine war, the economy, health care, climate change, Social Security, gun policy, immigration, education, and a whole lot more. To hear a grown-up acting like a child and throwing a tantrum is not at the top of their list. To no one's surprise, Trump treated the town hall like a rally, which is to say a combination of stand-up, set, and gaslighting session. An audience made up of likely New Hampshire GOP primary voters, an almost entirely white cohort of Republicans and Independents was given free rein to cheer at any mention of Trump's foes. Hard as it seems, he remains the current frontrunner for the 2024 Republican nomination. That said, Trump getting a second chance to finish what he started should serve as an alarm bell to those who thought he was going to fade away. The road to Election Day 2024 has never looked more treacherous and nerve-wracking. Hang on, everyone. So what can we take from this story? What's the takeaway? It seems CNN has learned nothing from Trump's past and was focused more on improving their ratings by giving the stage to the twice impeached and newly indicted ex-president another chance to preach his falsehoods and misinformation. Be that as it may, what we saw on the stage that evening was Trump has not changed into a more responsible, disciplined, or mature person than he was as president. On the contrary, his worst impulses have, if anything, gotten worse. His contempt for the truth, the rule of law, and the U.S. Constitution was on full display for everyone to see. Well, there you go. That's life, I swear. For further information regarding the material covered in this episode, I invite you to visit my website, which you can find on either Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, for show notes calling out key pieces of content mentioned and the episode transcript. As always, I thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe here or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode. See you soon.